Hi everyone, my name is Jessie and I am the face behind Abundance of Lovely. It is a blog that I started over 11 years ago. Abundance is a great or plentiful amount, fullness to overflowing. And lovely, that's what we're full of, love. And so my prayer is that Abundance of Lovely is where you'll encounter the fullness of love. What I'm going to start to do is bring you on the behind the scenes journey of some of my blogs, and I'm really excited today to introduce you to a blog that I've been working on for a little while called the Choreography of Death. And so I pulled together a bunch of different clips, some behind the scenes of the process, and I hope you enjoy. So this particular blog I have been writing since the start of the year. We are in October, so this has been probably 8 months of writing this blog. Albeit most of the time I have not been touching it. I've kind of had phases of touching it and going. So I wanted to take you through the process of how I got to this point, and I feel like this is a very good showcase of if you've written something and you're feeling constrained or there's barriers to you being able to get it to a finished product. This is a perfect example of being in one of those situations. So I want to show you what I'm going to do to break through those barriers and hopefully publish this blog. So context is the idea for this blog, like most of mine, come in just a wave of inspiration or a surge of curiosity, really. This one in particular, we were watching a TV show, that's my husband and me, and it provoked a conversation that was quite philosophical, existential, and out of that conversation I actually just started writing. And it was because there were so many nuances and complexities in our conversation that I just felt like I couldn't do them justice in the conversation. There was so much more I wanted to say, so much more I want to reflect on, and the best way that I express myself and reflect and process things is in writing. And so that is the origin story of this blog. And I will say it's probably one of the first that has been sparked from watching something on TV. And the blog by no means is about the TV show, I should say. It's about the concept that was introduced in one of the latter stages of the TV show. So that concept is death. Just gonna throw it out there. Trigger warning, this will be a pretty heavy blog. I won't probably cover it in this video, but just an FYI if you decide to go and read it. I want to explore the complexity of death and the grieving process in relation to death. So that was the conversation that me and my husband had. And so that is what I'm trying to do with this post. But as with all my posts, I have a process where I want to make sure that the flow and the narrative are correct, and it needs to kind of have an overarching meaning or purpose or takeaway. I want there to be something revelatory about it as well. Someone can read it and go, oh, have an aha moment, as they call them. Or just have a nice read where they're like, oh, I really appreciated how that topic was approached, or there was some good quotes or references, Bible verses in there that I wanted to go and follow up outside of it. Like, that's what I would hope is going to happen when you read a blog. But of course, so much of it is the death of the author, and I have to leave the agency of interpretation in the reader's hands. So I don't really know how that's going to go. But in this particular instance, let me show you, if you can see, sort of see. The Choreography of Death is what I have called it. It might change, the title might change. Sometimes I do flip-flop behind the titling. I still believe choreography is the right word here because I'm trying to choreograph together a narrative on death, both the cultural narrative and the Christian narrative on death. I also want to explore just the difference between being the person who is close to the one who's had death versus being at a distance but still being exposed to the death, as well as how movies and cinemas and TV and music all today really desensitize us to death. So I'm trying to bring all of that in here, which is a lot. It's a very ambitious task. So yeah. This is what happens when you give yourself enough space between writing and then rereading it, and when you're especially trying to go and edit and improve flow. You just read things so differently and you forget what you wrote and you have new ideas, and it just helps shape it a bit. So I always recommend like leaving space between writing and then editing. But I totally forgot that I had a framework that I'd already applied to this. So I thought coming in here today that there was going to be no framework and I was going to have to try and give it some structure and shape, but it's always after a little bit of a discovery and research phase that you can add more structure and maybe think about the approach that you want to take and give yourself a governing framework for the post. And I completely forgot that I had done that. So I had identified that there are 2 types of death and that's what I wanted to explore. So both the physical death and spiritual death, which, as I had kind of mentioned earlier, I'm speaking about it from the cultural, tangible perspective, but I'm also speaking about it from a Christian perspective. So I love that I had already done that. And then I therefore had started to structure it based on that. So I can see already here what I have missed was I only focus on the physical death. So that's going to be something I'm going to add, spiritual death. But I also have to very, very much refine what I have on the physical death, because if you see in the current state, that big chunk of text, that was my stream of consciousness. We have to fix that. We have to edit that down. So I have some time before work today that I've just jumped straight in again to this post. It's good to do at different times of day because then it also helps you to either have different perspectives. I've just come in and I've noticed straight away what one of the huge barriers has been for me with this blog, and it's because it's so overwhelming. Like, there is so much that I'm trying to do, and even just in this section I'm in right now, I'm like, oh, no wonder I've kind of kept putting this on the backside, because yeah, how do you tackle that? And so when you do have something that's super overwhelming, or you're just like, where do I sift through this for golden nuggets? It's just about breaking it down. So segmenting what you've written, trying to figure out what you were trying to say. This is if you've written it, of course, like if you already have something to go off of. Even if you haven't written something down, but you're just like overwhelmed and you have a lot of thoughts, get it all down and then start to like compartmentalize and see if there are themes, see if there are distinct like points or arguments that you're trying to make. And so I know that I'm trying to make specific points. I think how I have gone about trying to do it is not clear at all. And so I'm going to spend some time trying to focus on getting it clearer, breaking it down, so that the next time that I come into this document, I'm not so overwhelmed. So yeah. Some really great news. I have had an absolute breakthrough with this post. So last night and this morning, I've spent probably like 3 to 5 hours around that range, just investing in this blog, working through what I had remaining. It was potentially like close to completion for a while, but I really wanted to refine some of what I was trying to say. And I did have quite a bit to flesh out in some areas. I've stripped out a bunch, so I've killed my babies, as classic writers will know, and I'm in a really good position. You will have seen from some of my clips earlier that I've already now put in the graphics, which is usually the last step. And so all I need to do is click publish at this point. I just always want to give myself some time to do a final run through, get into the flow, make sure I haven't missed any grammatical errors. I always do, and you know, I'm okay with that. That's not, to me, the point of what I'm trying to do. But yeah, I'm really excited about where this ended up. Some of the last remaining things that I did do this morning was I just wanted to check that I was accurate with some of the things. So because I did have some statements in there around conversations with my husband, I consulted him, and I think this is the right thing to do if you are referring to somebody else in your work, just to consult them. And so I consulted him and just made sure that I had accurately represented the conversations that we had and done justice to what his intention had been in those conversations. And so he had a few little tweaks for me, which I loved, and I think it's only enhanced what I have there. So you'll know what I mean if you go and have a read of it. But yeah, we're in the final stages. I am really excited to publish this, curious about people's thoughts. It's been an interesting journey, particularly from a spiritual lens, because there are some really controversial topics, or I guess theological beliefs around death that have to be addressed for me to be able to, I guess, have the narrative that I do have in here around death, around the hope that we have in Jesus. And so I don't know how controversial confronting some of this is going to be for people, but it's something that I just want to flag for all of my blogs and for anything that I do share online. I'm not claiming to be the authority figure. I haven't been to Bible college. I might get things wrong. That's not ever my intention or my heart, but I just want to acknowledge that is a reality that might be the case, or I might phrase something the wrong way. I might have an incorrect interpretation, and that's just a part of having a blog. I do welcome any feedback, any comments. I do welcome public commentary on some of the topics and themes, because I think that's healthy, and I think the whole point of this blog and what I want to provoke is thought-provoking conversations. I want us to go into those deep places of our hearts, of our beliefs. I just think that there is so much fullness and love and truth to be discovered when we do go into those places that maybe society doesn't want us to go to. So I hope that this blog is going to be a blessing to you, and I would welcome any feedback on the format of this blog. I am going to do this more often, and I'm not doing it for an audience. I'm honestly just doing it because it's something that I'm really passionate about, and I hope that maybe there might be others out there who are passionate about this too. So thanks so much for watching. If you have, please subscribe, because there'll be more of this coming, and of course go and read the blog. If you're at all confused or curious, I'd love for your thoughts and opinions. The link will be in the bio. See you next time.